Hello, and welcome to our conversation on Black mental health. My name is Mitu, and I have the privilege of being a member of Team Born This Way Foundation and of introducing our amazing panelists. Could each of you share a little bit about yourself, your pronouns, and what Black mental health means to you? Hannah and Charlie, if you want to kick it off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Charlie. My pronouns are he, him.
And we are the co-creators and co-founders of the notOK app.
So basically, the notOK app is a digital panic button that, when pressed, it sends a text message to your pre-selected up to 5 closest contacts with your current GPS location and directions.
And Black mental health to me means shedding a light on an underserved group of people when it comes to mental health and health in general. Your turn.
Oh, yeah. Black mental health to me is my mental health. Black mental health to me is, Black mental health to me is being unafraid of being who I am and not letting anyone tell me no with my mental health.
I love that. Kalen, do you want to go next?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Kalen Allen. My pronouns are he and him. And Black mental health to me is unpacking generational traumas and being self aware and being able to look at ourselves in the mirror to know the things that we need to heal.
Thank you. And Dr. Chapple?
Hi, I'm Dr. Reshawna Chapple. My pronouns are she, her. And what Black mental health means to me is just the ability to be able to understand that we all need healthcare. We all need to feel safe, heard, and thinking about ways in which dealing with the racial struggles every day impact our lives, being able to be okay, saying that we're not okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be not okay.
Trademark.
And Laurise?
My name is Laurise McMillian. I am a co-creator and current social media editor of R29 Unbothered, which is Refinery 29's platform for Black female empowerment. I would say that, my pronouns are she, her. I would say that my definition of Black mental health is kind of in line with Kalen's, in the sense that I think Black mental health is kind of recognizing or putting a name to traumas or issues, or those things that your like mom or your auntie will say, oh, that's just how they are, or oh, that's fine, when it's really not. It's like acknowledging those things that you've always kind of felt, or you've always kind of known just wasn't truly right, and addressing them and like serving yourself to fix that.
I appreciate you saying that. It's hard to talk about Black mental health without acknowledging our lived stressors as part of everyday life due to structural racism and white supremacy. Black folks make up 13% of the population, yet represent 27% of COVID-19 cases and 20% of COVID-related deaths. Black adults are 20% more likely to report than white adults that they're experiencing serious psychological distress. And between 1991 and 2017, the rate of Black adolescent suicide attempts increased by 73%, while that rate actually decreased for other ethnic groups. And on a personal note, of course, my friends are having babies now. They're scared for their infants' lives. My partner loves to run, and I get scared every time he leaves our home. And it's like I hold my breath until he comes back. And even in the day-to-day, I think we can all relate. We have these conversations and interactions where you go, did that person just say that to me? Like, because I'm Black or because I'm a Black woman? Or are they just having an off day? And that double and triple time thinking is exhausting. And I'm an adult who, in her professional capacity, has access to mental health resources every single day. So with that said, Dr. Chapple, can you share coping strategies and resources for Black people, especially for our youth?
Well, I think first of all, we have to kind of look at the ways in which our society has set up to get us to ignore, especially Black people, our mental health. We are told that, we're okay a lot of times when we're growing up. If we cry, particularly if you're a male, you're told that, you're fine, don't worry about it, you need to be tough. We're also, as Black people, told that we have to work twice as hard. And we know that is the reality of the situation. But what ends up happening is for us, we end up carrying this stigma on one hand, and then on the other hand, having these feelings that we have to always look and be okay. I'm a college professor, and one of the main things that I have to teach is the difference between a white person who is depressed versus a Black person who is depressed. Because a Black woman who is depressed is dressed to the nines when she comes to her appointment. Her hair, her makeup, her clothes, she is flawless because we are told that we cannot, look disheveled. We can't come into a situation looking like, we're on welfare or something like that, because we immediately get judged. So the one thing that I think that we need to know as Black people is that it's okay, number one, not being okay, that we deserve to practice self-care, we need to have self-compassion, and we need to recognize when we need a break. If we need to call a timeout, we absolutely get to call a timeout, because uncles, cousins, NIM, job, school, all that can wait for a minute, because if we are completely run down, then who's going to do it?
Yeah.
That's a word.
Word.
And Quinta Brunson had a tweet that recently went viral, I think because it's so relatable and it ties in with what you just said, Dr. Chapple. She wrote, "Being Black is having a good day, and then seeing another Black person was killed for no reason. Then you have to think about that, talk about that all day, or you don't, and you numb yourself. It's a constant emotional war. Meanwhile, you still need to work and worry about everything else." And we talked about this a little bit before we went live just now, but we're at home. Those of us who can be, we're confined at home. We're surviving a pandemic. We're contending with Black suffering, some of that on tape, just handy on our phones for us to see whether we want to or not. How are you coping? And Laurise, if you want to kick us off.
So I'll be like super honest. I mean, you guys know I work in media, I work in journalism. So it comes with the job, it comes with the territory. And so as a Black woman, it's really hard to not be able to turn off the news, because you are the news, like you can't really tune it out, because it's my duty to make sure that all 152K of like our audience is getting what they need from me, because that's what I signed up to do. And so earlier this week, it was even before this kind of happened. It was just the Amy Cooper situation with did you guys see that video of the woman in Central Park who was like, "I'm gonna tell the police that a Black guy is like threatening my life," or some stuff. And so my partner and I had already been kind of feeling like, wow, like I don't feel like myself. I miss having a life. I miss going to the office. I miss the reasons why I moved to New York City in the first place, and then to have that happen so close to home. And we were just like, I think we need to go back we're from the DMV. And so we're like, I think we need to go back to the DMV for a bit. And right when this happened, I had already had like a trip planned home to be here in Maryland with my family, and it could not have come at a better time. And I think for me, being able to say, you know what, I have this panel with the Born This Way Foundation that I'm excited to speak about and share my feelings, but that's the only thing I want to do today. And I straight up canceled my meetings for today, and was like, this is the one thing that I'm not going to cancel, because I want to do this, and my spirit is calling me to do this. But I straight up was just like, no, like I'm not going, like I'm not doing this brainstorm, I'm not doing that. And I'm really fortunate to have a work environment that supports that, and people around me in the office who get that. And I think that for me, being somebody who works around the clock, feeling like, okay, yes, I know that I have to always be on, but I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take this hour of my time and watch a movie with my little sister, because I need that to be able to keep doing the work I'm doing.
I'm glad that you took some time to yourself. Hannah, Charlie, how are you coping?
Well, coping with this is horrifying, especially being my age. I'm 15, I'm a freshman in high school. This wasn't really like a really big year for me, but it was the first year of high school. A pandemic struck, and then I'm like, wow, it can't get worse. Murder hornets, and I'm like, wow, it can't get worse. And then wow, a bunch of Black people are getting shot in the streets. And I'm horrified to leave my house because we live in a really, really racist part of the world. We live in Georgia in Forsyth County. If you guys don't know what that is, that's where Oprah got ran out by the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. And the racism is still very much there. So, and people own guns, and it's horrifying every time I have to leave my house to like go to the store and get stuff, because I'm not just worried about like grades. Now I'm worried about a pandemic. Now I'm worried about getting shot, because I've already had to worry about this my entire life, but now it's just accelerated and it's just more horrible than usual. And I don't know how I'm going to live like this. So, yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry, buddy. Personally, for me, the way I cope is I try to take a break from social media. I am addicted to TikTok, and last week, or maybe last week, I want to say, there was a big protest on TikTok because everyone's like, TikTok is shutting down all the Black creators. You know, the white creators are stealing from the Black creators, saying the N-word, getting away with it. The Black people are saying that's racist, and their videos are getting taken down. So personally, just seeing all of that and being like, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, I had to just, for my mentality and for the sake of me, I had to get off of it. I had to take a break. And so I did, and I was fine. You know, I just took a break from social media to just calm my mind. But then again, that news is just so deeply ingrained into the back of my mind. Like, I couldn't forget about it, even if I wanted to the point where I was driving with my friend, and my friend is white. And so I was driving with him, and I saw a police car. So I got really, really nervous when I was driving. You know, I was going the speed limit. And like, I was terrified to change lanes, just because I was afraid that he would use the smallest mistake to pull me over. And my friend was like, why are you doing this? It's just a cop, chill out. And I'm like, and then it clicked in my brain. I'm like, you don't have to worry about that. But to me, that could be life or death, you know? And it's just, it really hit me all of a sudden. I was like, dang, I got off of social media, but I can't escape my reality sometimes. So it is really difficult to try to cope with that, but I'm trying to do my best by looking at the silver linings. You know, I graduated, or was supposed to graduate Tuesday, so it's like, I made it during a pandemic, but I still made it. So it's just trying to look at the good things instead of looking at the harsher sides of reality sometimes.
Well, congratulations, Hannah, on graduating. That is no small feat. And Tarly, thank you so much for sharing, and congratulations on your first year of high school. Even though it was hard, you made it, and we're glad that you're here.
Oh, thanks.
And Kalen, what are some strategies that you use to cope?
So for me, especially while we have been quarantined, I recently realized that I was probably on the verge of an anxiety attack probably 3 times a week. And I'm still working and everything, you know, essentially everything hasn't changed. But I think I didn't understand what was going on until Dr. Reshawna just talked about how people show up to therapy and Black people show up all put together. I love to get dressed. And I think the fact that I was stuck in my house, only having sweats to really put on. And I think we also, as Black people, have an obsession with appearing to be okay.
Absolutely.
You know, and so with not having the source to be able to go out in the street and the people to tell me how good I look and to tell me that, oh boy, you wearing that outfit, that it was bothering me that I wasn't able to look okay, and for other people to tell me that I looked okay, you know? And so what I had to do was that I had to completely remove myself on social media. So I deleted all my social apps and would only post as I needed to, if that was to post my content or stuff like that. And like I said earlier, is that I didn't even know any of this stuff was happening right now until I had to get on and post about this specific panel. Then I was like, oh, wait, the world is in another uproar, you know, and stuff like that. But I will say recently what I've noticed in a check-in with myself, that I have been doing a lot better mentally with this case, because I think I've become desensitized to it all, to where this isn't new. You know, we see these stories for the past decade just over and over and over again. So what I've started to do was find different ways of allowing myself time to breathe. And so I use like the Calm app and the Unplug app, and using things to meditate and stuff like that. Also, I do yoga. I try to find ways to keep myself centered. I have sage, and even cleaning my house sometimes gives me the ability to be able to just let go of some of the frustration. So you really have to figure out what works for you and what will give you some type of normalcy in your life, even within this pandemic. You know, if that means going for a walk, sometimes that's what you need to do. Grab your mask and do what you need to do.
That's true. That's a great point. Everyone needs to do what's right for them. And Dr. Chapple, if you have any coping strategies that you use for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, I want to applaud everyone on the panel, because a lot of the things that I was going to say, you've already said. It's a little different for me, you know, being a therapist and having a practice that was already virtual before COVID, and you know, also being a college professor. So you know, I think about, first of all, the people that I have to kind of see about, you know, my clients, my students, you know, I have children, that sort of thing. And, but every morning before I do anything, I have a check with myself. What I tell my clients, my students, anyone who will listen to me is feel your feelings, whatever they are. You know, a lot of times somebody will say, you know, I'm really upset about this, but I shouldn't. Or, you know, I had my youngest graduated from college and didn't get to go, you know, to graduation, and they were studying abroad and had to come home. And, you know, they were really upset. But at the same time, they're saying, well, you know, we're all healthy and, you know, we have jobs, different things like that. And I said, you know, I get it. Yes, there are good things going on in your life, but you still get to be upset about the things that you're missing. You get to be upset about missing your friends. You get to grieve. I just got promoted to an associate professor. Most people don't even know what that is, but you work for a long time and then you go up in rank. And I'm the only Black professor in my college, you know. And so I got that during COVID. You know, so I at first was like, well, you know, this is wrong, or should I celebrate or should I not celebrate? But guess what? I worked for it, I accomplished it, and I get to celebrate it. I also get to wake up and be tired just like everyone else and decide what I'm going to do. Just like you said, Laurise, you decide what you can do that day, you know. And for someone like me, and particularly people on social media, which I subscribe to getting off social media when you can. Unfortunately, if you work in social media, you can't always do that. But just being able to just turn the TV off, turn the social media off, stop taking it in. Once you've had enough, stop taking it in. But, you know, what are we going to do when we're living in this? So you just have to do that check in with yourself every single day. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say you can't. And it is 100% okay to feel your feelings.
I love that. Your feelings are valid and you can feel them. I also want to take a moment to remind everyone tuning into this that you are not alone, that we're grateful you're here with us, and that there are resources available to you for support, and that it is important for you to have conversations about mental health. Hannah, Charlie, you've created notOK app, a resource that saves lives. Why did you find it important to, in addition to that, share your family story behind why you built this tool?
So if you don't know, I came up with the idea for the notOK app when I was actually Charlie's age. I was a freshman in high school, just got diagnosed with chronic illness, was bullied, harassed, sexually threatened really badly, struggled with eating disorders, self-harm, depression, anxiety, until I couldn't handle it and finally had a suicide attempt. But luckily my mom saved my life that night, and that's when it clicked in my head that I knew I needed this app, this resource that I not only could use for my mental health, but also my chronic illness. So that's when I really came up with the idea for this app. And when my brother and I were building it, you know, his nickname is tech support. Like he worked on the tech side, I worked on the marketing side. So when I was figuring out like, is this something that a lot of people could use? I was looking like at all the stories and just reading about how many stories of people who reacted after the fact, after somebody died by suicide. And I was like, they were feeling the exact same way I was. If I could share my story and save someone, then hell yeah, I'll do it, you know? So that's when we really realized that we needed to start sharing our story, because if I'm strong enough to get through it, then they are too.
Yeah, I totally agree with Hannah. When seeing her pass out and not being able to see her get better really fast or see her even like get up sometimes, it was horrifying. And I don't want anyone to ever have to go through what Hannah did ever again. And that's kind of where that's why we made that.
Thank you both. And I actually have it with my friends, and we've had it since we heard about it on the read a few years ago. So grateful for you two. And Kalen, you've been very intentional in speaking openly about your mental health, how you've taken mental health days away from being so present on social media and in the media generally. Why is it important for you to share why you're taking a step away?
I think it was important because I was starting to feel guilty about not feeling okay. You know, I think as Black people, like one of my least favorite things is when people tell me to stay humble, because I believe that it is actually a microaggression.
Yes.
Because the truth of the matter is that if I accomplish something, I should be able to celebrate that, you know, and it shouldn't be a fact that because I celebrated something that I accomplished, that's a threat to you. And I think with my space in social media, I get a lot of hate in different type of ways, to where there's a lot of intersectionality in it, to where I'm like, okay, so do you not like me because I'm Black, or do you not like me because I'm gay? Like, which one is it, you know? And so I feel like I have to then figure out ways to be able to cope with that, and also to understand that people are just talking on social media, but that's hard when you work in social media. So like I said, I have to always protect my energy. And another reason why I think I put that at the forefront of everything I do about my mental health, that is because I say, in order for me to make content that makes other people happy, I have to be happy with myself first. If I am not stable, if I am not mentally together, then that energy will transfer into my content, which will then transfer into you. And that just will not do.
Thank you. And Laurise, with R29 Unbothered, you've created a space where people can find stories about the big chop, music and entertainment, and how to advance social justice forward. And I love that you've made this space that recognizes that I can be enraged about everything that's going on, and also be very happy that Meg Thee Stallion achieved her first #1 this week. And so how were you able to create such a safe, affirming space for young Black women?
I feel like when I get this question, I always a little bit overthink the answer, but in reality, the answer is just really similar to Hannah and Charlie. Like, I just saw something I needed and like created it. My approach to unbothered content has never really been a secret. It's really just talk about stuff that Black girls are really talking about in real life in mainstream media. And it's crazy how revolutionary that idea is. Like the stuff that I talk about and the sentiments that you'll see on the page are things that are often inspired by me and the team's Slack messages, or wherein, to be honest, we also had an instance where this week we celebrated 150K followers on Unbothered, while also dealing with George Floyd. And like it's a balance, but those joy and pain don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I think that when we make it known that like there is like humans behind this page, right? There are humans behind this page. And so when you do see a post go up that's like happy in the morning and then some shit happens and it's a really angry post, it's because we're assuming our moods change the same as y'all's did. And we're just responding in the same way a friend would, or the same way a homegirl would in a group text. And I think that that's really what the strength is, and how that safe space and community is able to exist, by simply just allowing myself and the editors to be exactly who they are in real life and not water it down. I think that a lot of Black media in the past has been kind of this thing where it either has to be like really stereotypically Black, like we're only talking about natural hair and stuff all the time, as if we don't do other things. And I think that the meat really is in just saying like, yo, what are you talking about? Maybe you're talking about spring cleaning and it has nothing to do with being Black, but that's still something that Black women can talk about, as opposed to addressing Black media as if it has to be this like other. Well, this is a little bit of a tangent, but we'll get people who come to us and say, hey, we want to like sell Unbothered and do all this partnership stuff, and all we get is like hair care brands and like, you know, like brown skin makeup, which is perfectly fine, but it's like, why is Dawn dish soap not talking to Unbothered? We do dishes. Why is like, I don't know, Yankee Candle not talking to Unbothered? We like candles. It doesn't have to be like, oh, that definitely goes on the main refinery page because it's for everybody. It's like, no, Black women also exist in all of these different layers, and being able to talk about us as if we're not a monolith is what allows that space to be so much of a community and able to move with what's happening in the news right now. It's just honesty.
Yeah.
Just like a McDonald's commercial on BT versus not being on every other channel.
You know? Yeah.
True. And I am firmly of the belief that Black joy is a radical act, that in the face of it all, we are creative, we are ingenious, we are entrepreneurial. So how do you give yourself permission to access joy? How do you find joy? Dr. Chapple?
Wow, it is radical because, you know, a lot of times when we are happy or joyful, and I know everyone on this panel will understand what I'm saying, the haters will come. The haters will come because we are celebrating and we're not supposed to celebrate. The haters will come because, you know, they want to see us fail and, you know, don't always want to see us happy. I tell everyone to do what you enjoy. If it's not mainstream, if it's not something that everyone else is doing, but you like doing it, then you do it. You go and do it. It's interesting. I have this picture on social media that is me at Disney World with Tiana. And it was, I mean, I was in heaven because Tiana asked me what I did for a living. And I, told her that I had a doctorate and I was a professor. And Tiana kind of went like this, and I kind of went like this. And the photographer snapped us. And it is pure joy. And so it's funny because when you look at my social media, I'm a professor and I'm a therapist and I'm very serious. But the first thing you see is just me with my hands up and Tiana kind of celebrating me. And that picture brings me so much joy. In my classes, I bring my college students coloring pencils and coloring books and stickers. And I tell them, if it makes you happy, do it, celebrate it, be okay with it. And, they at first look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, we've never sat in a graduate class where we're coloring. And I'm like, well, you know what? In our profession, we hear the most horrific things and we have to help people through them. So what you have to do is learn to practice self-care. And, that joy and self-care are just synonymous for me.
Beautiful.
For sure. Hannah, Charlie, how do you give yourself permission to access joy or self-care?
Go. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So our light just fell, but we're fine. We vibing, we fine. Okay.
Good.
I'm gonna go because you didn't, and that happened. So I give myself permission to access joy, basically by if anyone says that I can't be happy, I honestly just ignore them. I've perfected the art of ignoring people because I live with her and my annoying little rat dog, and that helps me a lot. And also finding hobbies, like I have so many hobbies that I've developed during quarantine. I cook, I bake. I'm making Biscoff cookies this weekend because I'm giving up. But I
He
bake.
keeps us all like that. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I take like 6 hour long baths just so I could just like relax and watch some Netflix and just vibe. Like, just find what makes you happy and don't let other people take it away from you. That's how I allow myself to have joy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with my brother. I love just little things that just make me happy. Personally, I love fashion. I love my hair. Like it took a lot for me to learn how to love my hair as it is. Because you know, my brother and I, we live in a very non-diverse area. Let's just say that. So it took me a lot to start wearing it natural. And now that I've started like last year, I'm obsessed with it. So, you know, just taking care of my hair or picking out cute outfits with huge heels that I can't walk in and just taking pictures in them during this time just really brings me, it's my happy place, you know?
And Kalen, how do you access joy?
So I think this also ties back into how I talked about how people often tell me to stay humble and like how I can't celebrate any of my wins without somebody telling me to stay humble. So actually, I have learned to separate business and personal. Those are two separate things. And so I celebrate in the personal. And another thing that I do is that I love to go, well, I think back to a time where I was just purely happy, when happiness was living within every crevice of my body in this most pure state. And I think of being a child and I think of the innocence of that. And actually, what I do for myself for joy is I go to Disneyland once a month. And it's funny because when this coronavirus thing happened, I was like, are you telling me I can't go to Disneyland? Like, how am I going to survive? You know? And it's just because I go there and I'm reminded of being a kid and the joy of that and the innocence of it all. And it brings me back to a state of just feeling grounded where nothing else matters in the world. I get to just escape. So escapism is a way that I find joy. Then when it's time for me to come back to the world, I come back to the world, but at least I'm coming back to the world with a new state of mind and a more refreshed type of way.
Can we escape?
Yeah, can we come with you?
Come on, let's go, baby. Listen, I'm ready anytime.
Oh my gosh, I just, this is awesome. I was at the last fireworks show at Magic Kingdom because I live about 20 minutes from Magic Kingdom in Orlando.
Oh my God, I'll be there every day.
And so for me, every weekend before COVID, I was at Disney World.
How do you guys live these dream lives? This is like crazy to me. I mean, I'm in New York. I'm like,
it's so ridiculous because people are like,
Island.
how are you here all the time? And I'm like, I'm a therapist. I'm a professor. I'm done grading. I go to Disney World. I mean, and maybe it's escapism, you know, so it's all joy.
I'm asking this, but how do you guys do that? Like, we live in Georgia, all we have is like Six Flags and like racism. How?
That's no fun.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be as extravagant as Disney World or Disneyland. I mean, think if you want to go to a park and just swing on the swing, if you want to go fly a kite, you know, if you want to have a picnic in the park, if you want to go fishing, something that is so simple but reminds you of just simplicity. Sometimes that's what's necessary.
Sometimes you just need to escape.
Yeah.
Laurise, how do you find joy?
It's interesting because the idea of self-care has changed a little bit for me this past month, actually. I realized that I also am equating joy with self-care now. But before I couldn't really do that because I was instead equating self-care with like self-efficiency. And I was like just trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this favor for like Laurise of the future, you know what I mean? And like do all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna be good for me. But then I was essentially just burning myself out. And so I think one, just recognizing that like doing nice things for yourself is self-care, but also sometimes those nice things are just sitting in the bath with your Netflix. Like, you know, like sometimes it is just like, oh, I'm skipping this meeting or I'm playing hooky. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, okay, so at the end of the day, like, you know, you want to like be this big crazy editor in chief, and so do this for yourself, and so like you'll get this later. I think a lot of people have those mindsets too, where it's like, even like, I don't want to be like that person who's like, don't work out, but like for me, working out is fun when it's like yoga or like something that also involves mindfulness. Whereas when I'm trying to like be healthy, I'm like, oh, I have to do this run. And for me, honestly, sometimes self-care is being like, you know what? I know that I'm like watching my weight right now or whatever, which is really off brand for me, but I have some thyroid issues that are unrelated to this conversation. um, but like, I'll say, you know what? I should not have this donut, but damn it, I want this donut, and I'm going to give myself this donut, knowing damn well I shouldn't have gluten. But it's just those decisions that like when you allow yourself to just indulge.
Live a little.
You know, exactly. Live a little. Loosen up your necktie or whatever. I think that for me, it's just realizing that yes, you've set these rules for you to take care of you, but also if you think back, kind of how Kalen was saying, to like that version of you that was small. Yes, you had to do your homework in X, Y, and Z, but you know your mom would have gave you a lollipop afterwards, or like you would have been able to receive some sort of reward or trade-off or balance. And it's just that concept of mothering yourself, thinking of yourself as that young inner child version of yourself, and how do you continue to serve that person as they get older? Like, what do they need? Maybe it is being like, you need to close this computer, sis. Like, that's not good for you, the way your mom would. Because when you're a grown up, that's your job now, you know?
I love that. Personally, I bookmarked this Twitter thread that is just Black people laughing, and it is funny videos of Black folks laughing. It is my favorite thing to come back to. Yeah, so if anyone wants that, I'm happy to share the link after. It is truly the most joyous thing. And I'd also love to reiterate resources that are available to support our mental wellness. Do you have any resources that you've used or would recommend to others? I'd love to start with you, Dr. Chapple.
I feel like I'm going blank now because I'm just experiencing all of this joy and thinking about all of these things. Actually, I cannot think of anything. I work for Talkspace, and we have a blog on Talkspace. There are also Talkspace has Instagram and an app and some other things that have those. I use Headspace sometimes. I like the Calm app. There is some really cool apps that have coloring pages on them. Yes, I can get it. It's just coloring plates, and there's one app that has Black girl coloring pages on them. Wow. And I really love cute things. So I'll have to go and find the app for you real quick.
Yeah, you have to send that to me.
Yes, Black girl coloring. And I also like, I'm obsessed with Baby Yoda because I love cute things. So I will go out on social media and look for baby giraffes. I know that these aren't apps. I'm sorry, but
no problem.
that calm us down. So there's a baby giraffe in the Colorado Zoo named Dobby, and someone snapped a picture of him. He was about 3 days old, looking at the camera. It is my screensaver because he's just looking at the camera, and it's so cute. So I guess what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be official, even though there are lots of mental health resources out there, as I'm calling out the ones that I work for, but there are some free ones, And there are really cool things to go out and look for. And I will list a couple resources.
No problem.
Thank you.
I would also share crisis text line,
Yeah.
and if you or a friend needs help, text home to 74141. I would recommend Therapy for Black Girls, which is a great
I love that.
resource that connects you with therapists who will understand where you're coming from, or can hopefully understand where you're coming from. There are online community spaces like Laurise's R29 Unbothered. There's the Trevor Project. And Hannah and Charlie, if you want to share again about the notOK app, which is like a resource that my friends and I rely on.
So yeah, basically everything that she says. The crisis text line is an amazing resource. It's 741-741. It's a pre-crisis tool, or it could even be a crisis tool. The notOK app, of course. We also sell merch, please.
No, we don't.
We're a 501 nonprofit, so donate. Please. Okay, so yeah, I already said earlier about the notOK app. It's a digital panic button that when you press, it sends a text message to your trusted contacts with your current GPS location and directions. It's completely free. So yeah.
Excellent. And I also want to share about Born This Way Foundation's initiative with Jack.org. We have hashtag Be Kind, Be There, which is highlighting Jack.org's BeThere.org tool, which teaches you how to recognize if someone else is struggling with their mental health, how you can lean into that conversation with them and connect them with resources or professionals for support. And beyond mental wellness resources, I would also urge everyone tuning in to support Black liberation efforts. If you can, please consider donating to the following organizations. And if you can't, of course, please spread the word about the Minnesota Freedom Fund at minnesotafreedomfund.org, Reclaim the Block at reclaimtheblock.org, Community Justice Action Fund at cjactionfund.org, Black Visions Collective at blackvisionsmn.org, and Communities United Against Police Brutality at cuapb.org. And I'd love to close our conversation on a note of hope. So I want to ask each of you, what gives you hope about Black folks, our community, our wellness? And I'd love to start with you, Hannah and Charlie.
For me, the thing that gives me hope, actually, I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. I just looked in the mirror and I said, wow, I'm so beautiful. And then I said, wait, I'm a little too cocky. And then I turned my phone on and I saw the news and I was like, wow, it's amazing that I can still have this incredible confidence and I can still think so highly of myself and be so strong in spite of everything that the world is doing to try to knock me down. Like, I have a chronic illness. I'm a Black woman in America today, and I'm still this fabulous, So that just that gives me hope. Maybe a little cocky, but
A little.
it's okay.
Do you, baby? Who cares?
Yes. And Charlie.
What gives me, is listening to music by Black artists, because it slaps. I'm sorry. Another way to put that. It's a bop. It's just, and because music is basically like everything for me, and listening to music by Black artists just reminds me that there's a lot of good in the world, even though some people are trying to take it out, and the music is like immaculate.
And Laurise.
Honestly, you got Charlie and Hannah, just being able to interact with you guys, so cute. Interact with the next generation. I'm really fortunate to be able to communicate with people who aren't my age all the time, because I have this really beautiful platform where people feel comfortable talking with us. But I think about the next generation and how they are already so much smarter than us, thank God, and already making strides in the directions we need to be going in. And so when I think about hopefulness, I think about the next generation of Black kids doing awesome shit.
Cheers.
And Kalen, what gives you hope?
I think what gives me hope is our resiliency. People often ask, well, I know you know how you are asked, what decade would you go back in time? And I'll be like, baby, I ain't going nowhere. What you mean I'm black and gay? What you mean? I'm not going back nowhere. But through all the struggles that we have endured as a people, even though they are terrible things that we have encountered, those things have made us who we are. And it is because of those things that we are able to make that music that slaps and to make that beautiful art. And it is through that struggle that we found a way to express ourselves in a way that no other person can do that. Why? Because they haven't experienced the things and needed to find the joy that we have had to find over and over again to get us through. So I enjoy that resiliency, and I just love Black magic in its entirety. Period.
Thank you. Thank you so much to each of you for joining this conversation today. I love each of your Blackness, and I love Blackness generally. That is also what gives me hope. I'm so moved by what you're doing, Hannah and Charlie, creating technology to support mental health and save lives, by what you, Laurise and Kalen, are doing, creating these affirming and informative platforms, and what you're doing, Dr. Chapple, connecting people, especially underserved communities, with information and tools to support their wellness and save their lives as well. So I want to send each of you so much love to all Black folks everywhere. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I hope y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not so much.